Hello, everyone. This is Trey with Texas Sports TV, and I would like to thank Obama Power One for my first ever requested video. Um, he pointed out in something I talked about and uncontested about Johnny Football, going by John now. He wants to be John Manziel, uh, to basically do up his maturity. He's been sober for 4 years, and apparently he's becoming a born again Christian. Or how becoming a born again Christian has changed his life. So this is what this video is about. I will be going through the different articles talking about him being sober, about how he's changed, and exactly how he became a born again Christian. Now, while this article is loading up, well, just a little background on before all of this. We all know about John's history, right? He won a Heisman's Trophy. He was a good quarterback in I'm sorry. He was a good quarterback in college. He played really he played really well in college, as you can tell, because he won the Heisman Trophy. And it was to my dismay because, well, he was the quarterback for Texas A&M. He was the first freshman to ever win the Heisman Trophy and the first freshman to win the Davy O'Brien National Quarterback Award. He played high school football in Kerrville, Texas, recruited out of high school as a dual threat quarterback with an impressive ability to extend plays. He played Schulman's air raid offense in Texas A&M's first season. He won the name. That's how he won the name Johnny Football. The fans and the students his unique improvisation and ability to make winning plays. He led his team to beat the Oklahoma in the 2013 Cotton Bowl Classic. In his Heisman acceptance speech, he said, "I thank God for allowing me to be here and for His grace and love throughout my life." He thanked his parents for bringing him up in the church. So he was raised around Christians, apparently. That's something I didn't know. But I tell myself every day. So this was at his acceptance speech as a freshman. Well, let's try to figure out what happened, because we all know he wasn't clean after college. We all know that after college he had quite a bit of off the field issues. Here's an article from 2016. This was talking about the most recent run-in with the police in Dallas and Fort Worth, and as saying here, that's only one of the many issues for the Forsman Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. He was drafted by the Browns, and, well, we all know the Browns. He wasn't doing well with the Browns. He was, as we read here again, a talent during his time at Texas A&M, but he had lots of issues making a similar impact on a professional level. He had off the field issues as well that would come up, unfortunately, regularly. And the off the field issue, we know he failed in the NFL. He didn't do that well, and a lot of it you can blame on the Browns, because the Browns organization is really not a healthy and good organization. But here's in 2016, Manziel is involved with a domestic violence altercation with his ex-girlfriend, leading to the Cleveland Browns announcement that Johnny's continual involvement in incidents that run counter to those expectations undermines the hard work of his teammates and reputation for our organization. So, January of 2016, the Browns planned to release Manziel, and they released him in early March. And that was just the most recent. He had, in December 2015, Manziel reportedly spent the night before the Browns' Week 17 game against the Steelers in Las Vegas while wearing a disguise. So, before Week 17, he was in Las Vegas wearing a disguise. Manziel identified himself as Billy and was later fined for missing treatment for a concussion on the morning of that game. Earlier this month, which is, February 2016, Earlier in February 2016, Manziel started against the Chiefs, only to have a video released the next day depicting Manziel, who gone to rehab for alcohol abuse in the past, at a party where there was alcohol. In November of 2015, Manziel was benched by the Browns head coach after video surfaced of Manziel partying at Texas A&M 2 days after starting against the Cincinnati Bengals. Wow. Okay. Manziel partied on multiple nights during the Browns' bye week, leading to the benching. So he was out partying, he was out drinking. Yeah. And in October 2015, Manziel admitted to drinking earlier in the day after being questioned by police regarding an alleged domestic violence incident with his then girlfriend. So another alleged domestic violence incident. 911 caller said a woman in Manziel's vehicle was attempting to jump out the car. Manziel's girlfriend declined to press charges, but Manziel, who was also questioned about dangerous driving. Along the shoulder of the road, the following month, Manziel was cleared at the NFL of any discipline stemming from this event. Well, as you can see, this isn't the first. I'm not going to go through all of it, but he had quite a few issues. Even during college, 2012, Manziel was arrested and taken to jail for fighting. So he's had quite a few problems, and he was kicked out of the Browns. I tried to find an article about him joining the CFL, but I really couldn't find one. I look up Johnny Manziel joined CFL, stuff like that, and the only things that come up were him being released. So let's look at this real quick. Canada was supposed to be an image rehabilitation opportunity for Johnny Manziel. But things, because he was supposed to be working on his issues, being sober. I don't know if he was sober or not. I don't think there was any issues with that. But I'm pretty sure he did pretty well on it. I forgot what the issue was that he got banned. Let's read this and find out. Heisman Trophy winner, first round pick. He was a first round pick as the Montreal Alouettes. Or he was a Heisman Trophy winner and a first round pick. The Montreal Alouettes announced on Wednesday that they were releasing Manziel after the quarterback apparently violated his contract. Well, what did he do and what was the contract? Let's see. Alouettes GM Kavis Reed said the team is disappointed and referred a great deal of support from the Alouettes, but couldn't come to an agreement on a very vague situation. We're disappointed by this turn of events. Johnny was provided a great deal of support by our organization in collaboration with the CFL, but he has been unable to abide by the terms of his agreement, Reed said in a statement. We worked with the league and presented alternatives to Johnny, who was unwilling to proceed. Additionally, per the Alouettes, the CFL has informed all of its clubs that it will not register a contract with, meaning the league office will not allow anyone to sign Manziel to a contract. It's banned from the CFL. We are confident going into the 2019 training camp with a roster of quarterbacks that have played in our system last year and are committed to our team. Manziel responded himself on Twitter after the news broke. I want to thank Coach Sherman, my teammates, and CFL fans. My time there reestablished my love for the game of football and the work that goes into it. I look forward to exploring new opportunities within the United States. Okay, that looks like Express. Manziel was one of the two first round picks for the Browns back in 2014. But his time in Cleveland was extremely short. We got that. Manziel's own father said the quarterback wouldn't even make it into his 24th birthday. Dang. Because of, I guess, quarterback battling substance abuse issues. Manziel eventually sought help via rehab and get clean. He got clean, and as he detailed in a public interview during the offseason last year, but he needed to show the NFL teams he could play football and function on a roster. So he got clean, but he needed to prove. So he was already clean before he joined the CFL. Manziel turned to the CFL for employment, signing a contract to the Hamilton Tiger Cats before the 2018 CFL season. Stuck on the depth chart behind Jeremiah Mosoli, Manziel was traded to the Alouettes, who had a disastrous debut. So he didn't work out in the CFL either. Of course, when you don't play for a while, it will probably do that. It's almost like he's playing for the first time again. Well, throwing 4 picks in his first start with Montreal. The quarterback's second start was much better, but his time in Montreal has not been outstanding. He was supposed to be going through what the league called extensive and exhaustive conditions as a result of his employment, including monthly lithium tests and weekly therapy. So he was doing weekly therapy. I think one of the reasons that his terms was he didn't go to the therapy. Whether he plays or not, Manziel's employment in CFL will depend on conditions set forth by the league, which called them extensive and exacting. Manziel labels them mutually beneficial because it would be beneficial to him. Though the CFL has declined to make those stipulations public due to Canadian privacy laws and an assurance that they would stay confidential. Manziel revealed they include mandatory doctor visits and required lithium tests each month. He also must visit with a therapist once a week. So while it's easy to jump to conclusions and assume Manziel did something specifically wrong here, it's possible that Manziel ultimately decided he was tired of doing the requirements that the league imposed on him. As a result of his contract, despite it being the off-season. What's next? So, like I said, it's probably the weekly visits. There are already thoughts being connected. The Manziel didn't have anything negative to say about the team. The team was very supportive of Manziel. So it really wasn't anything major here. The most likely option, like he says here, was the mandatory doctor visits. So he's already been clean. And as we know, he was raised in a Christian church. And I guess he refound God in between the NFL and the CFL because, well, he got some help. He rehabilitated himself. And with that help, he got sober. And so he was sober. He's been sober for a while after the Browns incident. And so he decided that he wanted to play football still. And so he decided to try to prove himself in the CFL. It wasn't working out, and he didn't like the weekly mandatory visits. I guess it was too much for him. And so, well, I mean, it would be exhausting and tiring. And so we know he just left the CFL. And it was in the middle of the AAF. And Johnny Football, judging by how the zoning worked, he was supposed to be assigned to the San Antonio Commanders. But the San Antonio Commanders passed on him. And so the Memphis Express got them. He didn't make his return to the NFL yet. And so but he wanted to return, and he took a step in the right direction Saturday. He signed a standard player agreement with the Alliance of American Football, and the AF in his first season, it was consisting of 8 teams. Before it was only season. It began on February 9th. It didn't run until April 14th. It ended early. There was no championship game. Come on. Manziel does not have a team yet. Well, the Memphis Express they were holding the worst record in the AF, and so they would be able to. They got Johnny Manziel. They already had their hand tied to a former quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, and Zach Mettenberger. Those two haven't worked out very well, obviously, with how the team has been doing. And so Memphis Express claimed Manziel off of waivers, and they were the first team available for the selection. So Johnny Manziel were number 2. He went from college to the NFL to the CFL to finally the AAF. And what what a debut it was for Johnny Manziel. He makes a brief AF debut. When he joined, he 1 week after signing with the Memphis Express, Johnny Manziel, as he was known as Johnny still, made his AAF debut with the team in a brief stint. Manziel was under center for 3 drives in the second and third quarters. See, uh, he wasn't there for very long. The Express, they were looking to be losing. They were way behind. They didn't look like they had stood a chance. But then Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, made his debut, and he took the Memphis Express, the team that was the worst, versus the team that was the second best in the East, at least. He took that team in less than a game. He took them from behind, and in less than in less than 3 quarters, he tied it. And then in overtime, he was able to give the Express a win, and it was such a wonderful game to see. For the first time in a while, John Manziel, he looked like the Heisman Trophy winner from his college years. He played and he was picking apart the Irons' number one defense. He was going against the number one defense, and he easily went up against them. He was playing really, really well. He did an amazing job. But unfortunately, his AAF career was short-lived. And no, it wasn't just short-lived due to, well, the AAF going down, as we have said. It was something else. No, it wasn't substance abuse. He stayed clean. He stayed a good Christian. He didn't do any substance abuse. What happened was Johnny Manziel, he took a violent hit in the head. He wasn't even that far into his second AAF game. He didn't play a full game. He hasn't played a single full game in the AAF. So we still don't know exactly how much he's improved, or if he's improved at all. If he's even still good at football at all. He's still obviously good, somewhat good. He still understands it, but we only got part of one game and a part of another game. We don't really have even a full game to judge him on. But clearly he still has some fight in him with how he played the first game and how he didn't give up in the second one. It had been a roller coaster for a few weeks for quarterback Johnny Manziel. He Again, the former Heisman Trophy winner, we see this again. He was released from the Alouettes Canadian of the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League, unable to abide by the terms. Then he signed with the AF Memphis Express a few weeks later in an attempt to make one final run at an NFL career. His first game, it was an amazing sight to see. I enjoyed it. If you are a fan of John Manziel, if you're a fan of football, it was a good sight to see this man play that first game. It was amazing how he took the team from behind. But his second game, he was playing against the Orlando Apollos, and then he threw. It says he left the game with a head injury. He made his first touchdown pass, and then it was waved off for offensive pass interference. So it should have been off a touchdown, but his offense failed him. But then he tossed an interception the very next day. He ran to get the tackle, but in his dive, he kind of did that shoulder hit that you see people do. He didn't really do the wrap up. He tried to do that shoulder hit, and he got hit in the head by the knee of the player. He took a vicious knee to the head from Will Hill III. That's a lot of lines there, while trying to make a tackle. And then he was visually struggling as he left the field. Not only that, he stayed on the ground for a while. It was such a sad sight. After a first wonderful game, and then the second game just was not at all good for Manziel. He had his touchdown waved off. He got a he threw an interception, and then he got a hit in the head. He got an injury. It was not a good sight. He did not return, and the Express lost 34-31. So it was a sad sight. Maybe we can see the video here. No, it's not loading. Despite how serious Manziel's injury looked, his head must have been clear enough to make another horrible choice. He was captured by TMZ Sports going into Nightingale Plaza. Okay. Yeah, he's getting a lot of support. Here we go. Manziel has received support from many people that his past issues with partying are under control. Dang, now, what the hell? Details? Publicly addressed the couple split after just 1 year of marriage. I don't trust TMZ, but okay. This is a very long article. But after the injury, he got back up, and the XFL, as we all know, as my reporting, they were looking at Johnny Manziel. They were looking at him, and they want him. Now the AAF seemed like the perfect chance for Johnny Manziel. It was a second chance league, so it seemed perfect for John Manziel. And after seeing that first game, there was so much potential. But then the second game, with them throwing the pig, him getting injured, his touchdown being waved off, and then the whole AF being shut down, it was just a very sad scenario for a lot of quarterbacks, but also for John Manziel. But the XFL, they were looking towards John Manziel. Now, the XFL has a rule: you can't have a criminal background. But on Oliver Luck of the XFL, on John Manziel in the XFL, as long as he fits our profile and our behavioral standards and our 8HCs, think he is a guy that makes us better. If Manziel is in that group, I'm sure he'd have an opportunity. We have had no contact with him. So the XFL is clearly looking forward to having John Manziel on the XFL. So they want him. They're willing to waive it aside. We're talking about how they're willing to look past because the whole domestic abuse thing is being wiped from his criminal background because he did everything he needed to do. John Manziel has maintained that his ultimate goal is to still playing the NFL, but he's willing to play for the XFL. When asked about it, he said any football is an opportunity. That's all it is, man. Ball 24/7. So the XFL, if the XFL offers him a contract, he will practically most definitely sign. He wants this opportunity to prove himself and to get back into the NFL. And again, he's been through a lot. He had some dark history, but it's clearly behind him now. He's much better. He went to rehabilitation. He was dealing with the CFL. He's had some pretty bad luck. He didn't do well in the NFL. He didn't do well in the CFL. But as we saw in the AAF, clearly he still got some football in him. Clearly he's still a pretty decent player. I can see him at the very least being a backup quarterback in the NFL. I really can. And to try to help with his more mature image that he's trying to pose on him, where he's been sober for as long as he has. John has explained that he no longer goes by Johnny Football anymore. He now goes by John Manziel. He wants to go by John. Clearly, I don't know. I didn't read anything exactly when he became a born again Christian. I couldn't find anything. But if he did, it was had to have been sometime between the NFL and the CFL, sometime during his rehabilitation, sometime while he was trying to get clean. After he fell from the Browns, uh, clearly that was motivation for him because he clearly loves football. So he was willing to do anything to get back in it. And that meant getting clean, getting sober. And that's really good for him. Like, I don't care what the motivation really is. If it's a motivation that makes you fix yourself and make you a better person, it's got to be pretty good motivation. So he probably it had to have been sometime between the NFL and the CFL. He got better. He joined the CFL, ended up not working out, but the AF was doing pretty well until he got injured. So we still see that he is a good quarterback, but he still struggles with some things. He needs some either experience or something to make him as good as he can be, because we have seen flashes in the AAF of how good he can be. But so, like, appearing on the Dan Patrick show, he was asked if this on the Monday the former is either former Heisman Trophy or former Cleveland Browns. I have a little update for you. I actually go by John these days, so I'm kind of turning over the page and moving forward a little bit. Whoa, okay. He was asked if this means he's growing up and getting there, I guess, Manziel said. The 26-year-old signed with the Memphis Express, blah, 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 we know that. Was short one because the league shut down before completing a season. So, like I said, he started going by John Manziel after the AAF. It wasn't before. And seeing how fast the AAF just evaporated, it caught me as a surprise a little bit because I was having so much fun in Memphis, probably more fun than I've had since my last game at Texas A&M versus Duke. My plan moving forward is to wake up every day to get back on the field, to continue to work on my craft, whether that's in San Diego with George Whitfield, continue to try to get back into what I think I was. A little bit of a surgeon with the football in my mind. I feel good, and I'm just going to continue to keep my head down and keep working on what matters the most to me, and that's football. And clearly he cares about football, and this fight that he's doing right now, it's very admirable. He's looking at from behind. He's got the support of fans, clearly, and he has a lot going against him here. There's only good tenure since college was the AAF, and it, like you said, it evaporated quickly. He's been having a tough stride, and with as much determination as he does, I hope he finds his stride. I hope he does really well in the XFL. He becomes a really great quarterback, and I hope he finds his way into the NFL because he has good determination. He's made himself a better person, and he clearly cares about the game. And if you care about the game as much as he does, if he cares about football as much as I care about baseball, if you care about the sport you love, if you love your sport that you play, I think he really deserves a second chance because he's willing to do anything for it. And I believe him. John Manziel, he's grown up. He's had the partying life behind him. He's much sober now. He's been sober for a while. Apparently, he's now born again Christian. Uh, Obviously, we don't see a lot of news on this because of the way the media works, but if that's true, that's good for him. He's a good quarterback. I have high hopes and high wishes for this man. Yeah, he's been through a lot, and he deserves a lot.